equipment that will help to galvanize high productivity. The federal government is working to enable the private sector to get involved and rapidly raise the level of mechanization in the country. For many decades now, government efforts directed at tractors in the past were through direct government procurement and distribution. The government-dominated system was inefficient and prone to abuse, to the extent that banks were uninterested in financing agricultural equipment. The cost of tractors was also too high and beyond the reach of the smallholder farmers. And because the private sector was not actively involved, many tractors abound around the country without spare parts and abandoned. Solving this problem requires a different approach. Just like we did for fertilizer and seeds, the federal government no longer directly buy and distribute tractors in partnership with the states. With the Agricultural Enterprise Hiring Enterprises, AEHES, which I am launching today, government is putting in place a new model where private sector-driven mechanization services and programs will be rolled out across Nigeria through a public-private partnership. Tractors and all the associated mechanization equipment will now be done fully by the private sector. The agricultural mechanization program will be driven through the public-private partnership involving the private sector manufacturers of tractors, the agricultural machinery, service provider operators, financial institutions, and government. Over the next 3 years, the scheme will make available a minimum of 6,000 units of tractors and power tillers each, and 13,000 units of various harvest and post-harvest equipment, and will establish 1,200 agricultural equipment hiring enterprises to provide mechanization support services to farmers across the country. The first phase of the mechanization program, which I am launching today, will make available immediately 590 units of tractors, 500 power tillers, and harvest and post-harvest equipment, which will be used to set up 118 agricultural equipment hiring enterprises across the country. In addition to this, a total of 24 agricultural equipment hiring enterprises will be established specifically to support youth and women. I am pleased that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is sharply focused on promoting public-private partnership to unlock private sector investment into the agricultural sector. The wide representation of agricultural machinery manufacturers, service provider operators, and banks at this event showed that the agricultural equipment hiring enterprises enjoy strong support by the stakeholders. I also understand that the agricultural equipment hiring enterprise model was voted in 2013 as the best agricultural mechanization program in Africa by the African Rural Agricultural Credit Association, which includes the central bank governors, commercial banks, agricultural banks, and microfinance institutions across the whole of Africa. I congratulate the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development for this innovative approach and this award. Congratulations. The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, has made available 4.5 billion naira to support the provision of affordable refinancing facility to allow private sector acquisition of these tractors and agricultural machinery through the Bank of Agriculture. I am pleased to note that the financing arrangement requires the government to provide 35% of the loan, Bank of Agriculture to finance 35%, the agro machinery vendors to provide 10%, and the service provider operators will provide 20% equity to uptake the agricultural equipment hiring enterprises. The support of the bank for this innovative program is quite impressive. I was very pleased to hear from the banks that they have committed the sum of 19.5 billion toward boosting this public-private partnership for mechanization. This is very impressive. As part of a drive to limit the hand hoes and cutlasses and to replace them with modern agricultural equipment, I direct the Central Bank of Nigeria to set aside a sum of 50 billion naira mechanization intervention fund. This support fund will allow and speed up the full establishment of the 1,200 private sector-driven agricultural equipment hiring enterprises across all states of the Federation. The federal government will, for the first time ever in the history of Nigeria, begin the provision of mechanization support grants to farmers to allow them to hire agricultural mechanization services. The Growth Enhancement Scheme and the e-wallet scheme of the federal government will be expanded to provide subsidized electronic mechanization support vouchers to farmers, which they will use to pay the agricultural hiring enterprises to provide mechanization services for their farms. I'm very pleased that Nigeria is the first in Africa to develop the electronic wallet scheme for reaching farmers with subsidized farm inputs via mobile phones. Nigeria is also now leading the way again in Africa in providing mechanized services support from the private sector to farmers using mobile phones. Today, seeds, fertilizer, tractors, and agricultural equipment services provision to farmers are all linked to mobile phones. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today I am delighted that we are witnessing such a rapid progress in our agricultural sector, powered by new innovations that are allowing us to reach farmers and serve their needs better. The growth of our economy will be more robust and inclusive as we make agriculture to work as a business to lift millions of people out of poverty. The operation of the network of silos in the country and the agricultural equipment hiring enterprises will go a long way in further modernizing the agricultural sector. I wish to commend the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Akinwunmi Adesina, and his sister, the Minister of State, and indeed his team at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development for making Nigerians proud with the impressive progress being achieved under the agricultural transformation agenda. I urge you all to continue to innovate and drive transformative change with the sense of urgency needed until we achieve our ultimate goal of making Nigeria a global powerhouse in food and agriculture. You can be assured of my continued strong support in this great quest of our nation. It is now my honor and privilege to commission this 100,000 metric ton silo in Sheda and to flag up the agricultural enterprises hiring enterprise. Congratulations. Thank you, and God bless our country, Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm sure we can do much better than that. Please, let's put our hands together. Celebrate. Okay, power clap for the Vice President representing Mr. President. Power clap 1, power clap 2, power clap 3. One mighty Bosa for our very distinguished Excellency. Bosa. All right, for all distinguished farmers of Nigeria, here you have had a national reference in terms of the Vice President's speech, and now he'll be